Greetings, everyone. Everyone, everyone who watches this is always greetings. When you walk in, it's greetings. Period. So if you have the honor and the privilege of being one of those who walked in at the beginning of this, you are listening to this right now. I am Kev, and this is Black Men Being Brutally Honest, and this is another Any Given Sunday. So I don't know. I'm probably going to have a poll this week. See what you guys think. And the center of that poll is: should I move away from the Any Given Sunday name? I don't know. I just feel like I don't know, being more of an individual, seeing that the words Any Given Sunday was not my original ideal, and I did not use those words for profit. But I just thought it would be a cool name for a Sunday program, since that, after all, is one of my favorite films. So, anyway, welcome to the discussion, or, monologue for right now, at least. And as you walk in, please hit that. Well, I mentioned that's the wrong intro. I used that on pre recorded videos. Kevin, stop. Okay. If this is your first time here, please go below this screen and hit that subscribe button. More to come in the future. I also have a Patreon, but that's another story in the making. But hit that like button. Hit the like button, and if you don't like anything I have to say, feel free to hit the dislike button. See, the thing is about those likes and those dislikes is there are no names on it when it's on YouTube. So feel free to do so. I mean, I can't control that. And if you are a content creator, understand that you can't either. I mean, I see plenty of content creators that get dislikes on their videos, and they they get kind of reactive about it. I don't I don't get it. I don't, it it's what happens. It's what's supposed to happen. It's the natural order of things. When you bring yourself on a platform, you're not going to win each and every person. And that's the first part of this monologue that I am going to focus on. See, when I do thumbnails, I do them to try to draw in some humor, but I do it also to establish some meaning in what the theme is for tonight. Yeah, in the bottom right hand corner is comedian Ryan Davis, and he, really, he. I guess this video on Facebook is going around, and I think he put it on his Instagram, or it's one of his Patreon videos. It's definitely on Patreon, but really just blasting the fans of Kevin Samuels who visit his content of him being critical of, or voicing his opinion on uh, Kevin Samuels that might be less than favorable. Um, I would say this: Ryan Davis is like anyone. This was not supposed to be a direct put down, but I put the glowing eyes on him just because of the way that he went about things. Just the whole video to me was just it was a social justice virtue signal for a guy who is a Facebook comedian. Now, I'm not going to spend time, sitting here roasting and hating on the guy, because I'm sure you see enough of that out of black men. But it's just this whole thing where we just say shit just to get a reaction, so to speak. So, and I'm wondering, are black men doing these things because this is what they, and when I say they, I understand that I am a black man as well. So it's not when I say they, I'm referring to black men as an isolated group because see, that's what a lot of these little panderers and little simps and some of these bitter females. That's what they do. They try to separate themselves from black men, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But there are black men that are involved with this, so just understand that my concern is with my quote unquote community, people who are melanated, people who are just like me. And I will say that until people start to get it. That's what I'm here for. Seriously. And I feel like black people are awesome. Black people. When it comes down to the genders, it causing conflict that obviously we as a people are not mature enough to deal with for some reason or another. And if we were mature enough, it would have been dealt with. So you could feel any kind of way about what I just said, but that's what it is. That's what it is. You know, I'm not here to expose black people. Trust me on that. I'm not here to expose black people. I'm here to expose those closest to us. The ones that we're truly disappointed in. The ones that we need to remain focused on. And you can think what you want. You can come up with whatever how you can read that however if you want to bring whatever you want to bring to your imagination. I would say that. But if you really want to know, you can just ask. Don't assume. Don't go for the knee jerk reaction because that's where you fuck up. And this is what these panderers. I mean, just take heed to the title as I speak to you. And let me tell you what the title is again. And if you need to know what this broadcast is about, if you watch me on a regular basis, just go down to the scrolling title at least on Sunday. uh it's something it's just a little small education. It's something different when it's you know regular broadcast. I will flash that, and then you just have to pay attention to the title. Of course, I mean, I guess I'm dealing with a crowd that is intelligent enough to do that. I mean, not to be condescending or anything, because that's f boy shit. Don't be condescending to people who are watching you. But I guess some people feel like they're famous enough to do that. Yeah. But on Sundays, I will have the title, as it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and it's called Whip Appeal. Does pandering equal success? And got the draws. So, got the draws is what the acronym means in the title that you see when you hit the thumbnail. So you wanted to know what this broadcast is about when you hit the thumbnail. So is take accountability. We're real big on accountability here in the space. So you take that accountability immediately. But yeah, but the thumbnail has a meaning. Like I said, I know I got Ryan Davis with the glowing eyes because it seemed to me that the rant that he went on was kind of quite emotional. And let me explain something real quick. When you have people who are critical of you in your comment section, I mean, they're trolls. Back in my early days, of social media, I would find myself trolling the trolls, bullying the bullies. I would say I didn't like that. I didn't like when people ganged up on one person. I would be man number two, and that's the only number two I ever be. As far as these, or I ever feel like I'll be. The reason why I say man number two is because I'm joining the other side. I'm just playing devil's advocate just to see how our people react. It doesn't matter to me if you call me a name or not. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I've been called a bitch several times. And, I just didn't react because it didn't mean anything to me. I know I'm not a bitch. No matter what anyone else thinks. So, I mean, that'll be my conflict with other people if and they choose to believe that. and I mean, like my suggestion is, if you believe such, don't let me know because that's a bad idea. I mean, but ooh, we're all doing this through an internet connection. So, I mean, that's as far as we can go. Words, internet connection, shit like that. So, my suggestion to people, especially around my age group, Gen Xers, millennials, even even Generation Zs, who by no means should have to listen to me, is to come up here and act like you got some goddamn sense. You know, even if you're pandering, act like you got some damn sense. Represent black men, if you are male, of course. Represent us in a way that makes us presentable to, you know, at least other blacks. We know that we have people who fight against that kind of thing because we don't, a lot of us don't want that true narrative out there that we are a strong, resilient, sensible people. We have people who gravitate to the fuckery, and they use the fuckery to kind of like, okay, we have these people who promote the fuckery. We have those people, and then turn around and offer themselves as the solution. Okay, making it seem like it's more of a problem than what it really is. Example, because none of you, you know what, we've been lucky here. Not just lucky. We've established ourselves as the habitual line steppers, and people who fucks with us, they know that we're cool people. They know that we're chill, and you can come to us whenever you have uh, anything that you have to express. And at least with me, because I take into account the others are individuals and they're sensible individuals. At least with me, if you have a dissenting opinion, if you disagree with what I'm saying, you're free to express it over here. You can say it. I can't say that every platform is like that, but those who fuck with us know that we're like that. Now, I will say this: there have been a couple of times, and I'm not prostrating myself because I've seen that bullshit too. I'm not prostrating myself before anyone. I'm not apologizing for anything. I let things go on for a reason because keep in mind this: there are enough platforms out there that fuck with black men, not making black men the victim, but the fact that people don't acknowledge that shit for real, is what makes me say it. You know, just shit's weird to me. Shit's weird to me that this is not a behavior that's called out, but that's one of the parts of what how this pandering works. You know, I don't believe in this black man guilt shit. I don't believe that I should be accountable for anything that I didn't do. So that's for the panderers right there. I don't believe that if Pookie, and people use Pookie, and everybody's like, y'all use Pookie because y'all want to be Pookie. Let me offer some context. I don't want to be Pookie. Fuck you. I don't want to be Pookie. I don't. Don't say that I want to be Pookie. Don't tell anyone I want to be Pookie. I want to be Kev. That's it. That's all I can be. When Pookie goes out there and gets someone pregnant, or someone's plural pregnant, and I know that's not a word, Toya the tutor. Don't be like, oh my God, they misuse some words. I did that on purpose. I did it on purpose. When Pookie go and get someone's, as in multiple women pregnant, that somehow Kev is supposed to be ashamed of that. I'm supposed to come out here in front of everybody and say, oh, black men, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm accountable for you sticking your dick in someone else like I was there and I gave the go ahead. I don't care about that shit. I don't care who's fucking who. And that's for whoever is watching out there. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I poke fun at swirlers, and that's just based on hypocrisy. Believe me, it's nothing personal. Swirl the fuck away. I don't care. I don't care who's fucking who. I don't. But it's just several things that we're going to cover tonight here on this broadcast. I know that the pandering doesn't have to be genuine in order for it to work. But I refuse to be accountable for what someone else does. I'm not supposed to be. No one is. I would never ask. Let me see who's in this. Who's in this piece right here? Uh, I would never ask Jay Bones. Okay, Jay Bones. If Kev got in a motherfucking car accident, you know, is someone supposed to come online on a fucking YouTube broadcast and say that Jay Bones should be accountable and embarrassed for Kev's mistake? No. Kev is capable. Kev Esther now is capable of wiping the egg off of his own face. So that doesn't make sense. So why would the other scenario make sense? Why would I have to take accountability, excuse me, for what Pookie did to another female? Why should I have to for Pookie ramming another female and shooting up the club? Because like I've been saying, and I've said it multiple times, anyone with a smartphone, and that's all of us at this point, we have Google search engines. All that information is at our fingertips. So it only makes sense if you don't fucking know something to look it up. I'm not saying believe everything you see and hear on the internet, but it only makes sense that you are able to find accurate information within seconds if you don't know. If the schools haven't had the fucking sense to teach you, if Pookie shoots up in you and you end up pregnant, is because you haven't taken the following measures. You haven't, you're not on birth control, or you just somebody who anticipated that you could point the finger. you know, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, because I don't feel like people are that stupid. There are STDs out there as well. But, to the panderer, that kind of logic does not make sense. But I understand, because that equals big numbers. That equals, cash flow. And you don't even have to be genuine. You don't even have to give accurate information. Like, let me give you a bit of accurate information right now. And this is the truth. And I'm not pandering when I say this. But the prison population makeup is 34% black male. 34%. I mean, that's with racial disparities, guilty of shit, and all that all of that lumped into that 34%. So when someone says 40% of black males are in prison, that's a fucking lie. They need to say it correctly. They need to give you the honest information. They need to give you the truth. Period. So, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's give honest and accurate information when we come on these panels. And it is like, you don't want someone, and I mean that's advice for anybody who intends to pander to make money, I would say. Let me put another picture up here. I put that thumbnail up there because I make those thumbnails, and I just it just is I like them. you know but here's a picture of Steve Harvey. This is Steve Harvey with hair. you know but he shaved, and then he wrote the book. So if Derek Jackson is Simp King, Steve Harvey might be the god of the shit. Hey, what's up, Donnie? What's going on?
My man, what's going on?
Hey, and I just wanted to make sure that you were audio capable. Make sure everything was good.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good on here. I had to show some love. Had to come get into the topic.
Yeah. The topic is basically pandering for profit. And for one, the other part of the title, I don't think pandering really gets you the draws, but Derek Jackson would, the knowledge of what he did would push against that. And I think other factors played into that with Derek Jackson but we'll get into that. But the question is, does pandering equal success and got the draws? GTD. Now, you know where GTD comes from. I mean, well, for those of you who don't, it comes from an episode of Martin where, for some reason, Martin is questioning Tommy in the court. Rest in peace to Thomas Michael Ford, by the way. And he was questioning him, and he said that I see these messages that you got. GTD. What does GTD mean? And he kept badgering Tommy. So Tommy finally broke and said, "Got the draws, man. Got the draws." So, um, but the reason why I put that up there is because we often, on the outside looking into the pandering, make fun of guys like this. Like we say stuff like we think that you think you just getting pussy by all that simping you doing, man. Shit like that. So I mean, it's kind of two questions in one. Does pandering equal success? I mean, it kind of does. Steve Harvey was able to sell books because of it, and so did Derek Jackson. By the way, don't forget your crown. I mean, I thought it was funny when I heard the shit because people always was saying shit like we was kings and the queen, the whole queen thing.
Yeah,
You
these
know,
people are hope peddlers. This is nothing different than what the church has been doing for decades or for centuries, right? They peddle hope. They tell you if you do this, if you do this, if you just believe what I'm saying. By the way, here's my cash app. By the way, here's the collection plate, etc. You know what I mean? Down the line, they'll get rich, and your dumbass will keep the faith alive and keep giving them money in the hopes that you'll get a man, you'll get whatever you want out of life without really doing anything.
so did you think that this gave birth, this kind of mentality gave birth to concepts such as what's this new word that we're using around this space, grifting?
Yeah.
Do you Yeah, I mean, playing on people's emotions just to make a little cash. I
This
mean,
is why this is why pimps when they retire, what do? They become pastors and preachers. They become motivational speakers because there's always a sucker that want to hear something to make them feel better about life, their choices, and feel like there's always an out. And what are they willing to do for that? They're willing to give their whole bank account over just to feel nice about themselves.
yeah, they think there's some bigger reward at the end of all of that, and people have a tendency to believe those are worthwhile investments. When all they have to simply do is look within, but people don't want to employ that method. They want to do this kind of thing. I mean, I understand, tithes and offerings. If, I try to be the one that respect beliefs. If you believe you got to do that, you got to do that. If you believe that you've seen results, then more power to you. It's whatever, but you don't have to hand over the deed or the life insurance policy in order to solidify that. Just the use of common sense nullifies a lot of things that people don't have a tendency to consider because they want some security at many levels, and some of those levels are great, but some of those levels are just, you know. So, but it's your business what you do. It's really your
Yeah, but
business, but
but you got to understand. If I have the option of letting someone tell me that I'm fine just the way I am at 400 pounds, that I will find a man, that a real man will love me, or right, and all I had to do for that is to what pay $20 to watch your video every Tuesday, to get that help, send him a little cash, right, buy his book, or or get up every morning at 6 a.m., an hour before I got to leave for work and work out, come home, eat or eat low calorie meals, watch my weight, drink a gallon of water, not have liquor. That's a hard situation when all I had to do to feel good about myself was pay this motherfucker $20 and go on about my day.
yeah, pretty
That it,
much.
and it's that same level of mentality applied to everything. Whatever's the easiest path of resistance, they will do it every time.
Okay, and let me offer a disclaimer. I'm not doing this in an effort to disclaim any super chat that you might want to do or whatever for those of you who are viewing, or any cash app. So do what you want on that. Let me just say this as a general principle: people do what they want to do with their money. You know, I would never discourage anybody who is a content creator who is able to monetize to turn money away. You don't do that in 2021. I mean, people should be stressing that instead of stressing all of the social justice bullshit. But you know, those are other conversations. But I'm just saying is that some people use that as a way of, you know, profiteering for themselves, and they have no real solution. And a lot of content creators do have a tendency to say this kind of thing. Maybe it's on some other level, but at the deepest level, they are telling the truth. And I just don't want people to be fools. That's it. You know, that's all. I give you the freedom of direction. You don't have to do anything I suggest. You know, because what how I may operate, it might not be how you operate. And I don't want to ever catch myself being guilty of misleading you. I just don't. You know, I have the courage to accept responsibility for someone who decides to follow, but you are on your own with that shit. Seriously, you're on your own with that shit. It's going to be totally your decision. And if I'm cool enough, if you think I'm cool enough to have such a position in your life like that, then so be it. You know, that's how I understand haters, which is the funniest fucking thing. But other than that, shit just should be cool. I mean, be just it should be from your heart. But sometimes I gotta admit, from your heart doesn't work. You know, I'm not saying my from your heart doesn't work. It's just that things will come with time. It's certain energies that are out there that they are bigger, and some people are able to flourish in those energies. Some people aren't. You know, different times will come, but it does. It's no. That's no excuse for not trying in any aspect of your life, and understand that before I begin to go into why pandering can be a success if executed properly. Yeah. All right. So there it is. So we got 15 watching. Let me see how many likes I have so far. I'm not gonna look at the dislikes yet. I'll save that for later in the broadcast. Oh, 12 likes. Oh. So there's 16 people watching. There's 12 likes. So likely you're watching. You haven't pressed the like button yet. So let's go ahead. And like I said, you can also choose to uh, push that thumbs down as well. I celebrate those. That's a secret. It's supposed to be a secret. But it does. It seems like pandering can sell books. Pandering can sell books. Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man was very successful. It was a very successful book. And, here's my thing. This is why I say ultimately that kind of thing is pandering. I would never suggest that a woman acts like a man. That's the furthest thing from what message I'm trying to deliver. I don't want a woman acting like a man, or thinking like a man, or doing things that men do. Because it said act like a lady, think like a man, which I think is impossible. I believe it's impossible. Now, I can't speak for the ladies, but if you are a woman and you believe that you can act like a lady, act like a lady, but think like a man, you're going to fall in one of these two categories. And this is how a man perceives it. I know that a lot of ladies don't care how a man, or especially a black man, perceives anything, but you're going to fall into two categories. You're going to fall into thought, thought. Let me make sure I said that clearly. Thought. Or you're going to fall into the category of whammons. It's going to be thought or whammons for you. You can't be any other way. If you really believe that you can act like a lady, but act like a lady, think like a man, whatever the fuck, like it doesn't make any sense. If it was in reverse, it still would not make any sense because, uh, I mean, okay, okay, you came from a man's nut. I know that's crass to say. Everyone came from a man's nut. Just like, the nut had to fertilize the egg. Well, the sperm cell had to fertilize the egg to form a zygote that the cellular structure multiplied until it equaled out to a bundle of joy that is quite frankly a poop machine that you just love, 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 love. Trust me on that. Okay. So if you want to go at it from that angle, it will make more sense than the angles that I've seen on social media and on mainstream media. It'll make more sense. Just think about that. But the suggestion that any part of a woman is a man and any part of a man is a woman is just crazy to me. The only thing that you can use is that, hey, you know what? I came from a woman, but that took a man's effort as well. Or you can think it in reverse because there's no other way to look at it. Outside of that, there to me, and it doesn't have to be to everyone like that. Although I believe that to be sort of weird is that there are certain things that a man is, and there are certain things that a woman is. And you can call me open minded. I mean, don't be calling me cis anything. People would. I mean, especially these new age motherfuckers will classify that as cisgender, but I'm not cis shit. I'll say that. So, yeah, yeah. So my gripe with any of these panderers or any of these simps, if there was any gripes into that would be in existence, is the fact that I would want these guys to be a bit more genuine in their delivery. I don't believe like 90% of these guys who simp and pander, there's always an agenda behind it. I do believe that 10% are actually serious about that bullshit. Because it's bullshit. It doesn't even sound right. If you listen to what these guys say, it doesn't even sound right. And it's so easy to dissect. I mean, is ridiculous. Like Ryan Davis was easy to dissect because how is that a Dodge goes when on that rant. And for those of you who don't know who Ryan Davis is, let me put the he is the guy in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Some below the words whip appeal. Ryan Davis is a Facebook comedian, and he kind of went in on the fans of let's not even beat around the bush. Kevin Samuels. He went at the fans of Kevin Samuels before, and I mean I just don't get it because my concept for being in my concept in life is you can't. I mean there are and I used to be very bad with this, but you can't let everything that everybody says get to you. I mean, that comes with the territory, especially if you are under a certain belief. I mean, your belief system is not for everyone, and everybody can't be on your page. And see that's how a lot of those beefs start too, because we and there's a problem with us. And y'all know what I'm talking about with us. That we believe that everyone is supposed to co-sign with everything we say and everything we do and how we go about things and how we operate. It should always be the same. Just like give you an example of that. How we vote. We vote. Some people, some black people, let's just say it, have the understanding that all of us are supposed to vote Democrat. Yeah. Now, I mean, that belief is kind of breaking down and it's going to be a bigger wave than everyone thinks it is. But I'm not one of those people that's waiting for it to happen because I don't believe that the way that they go about politics is structured to help us win. So let me just throw that in. Let me not veer too far off the subject. Kev ain't supposed to think like you. Let me look at this chat real quick. You know, Kev ain't supposed to think like Rogish the Bill Monger, just like Rogish the Bill Monger is not supposed to think like Kev. Even though we may agree on things, I don't expect Rogish the Bill Monger to, I don't know, uh, wake up at the same time I wake up or some shit like that, because that's the only way that kind of logic makes sense. We are not supposed to be of a hive mind. We're not supposed to be monolithic, because does not allow growth. And that's why that pandering side is so chaotic. That's why that side embraces like that side embraces so many chaotic females. Because let's just face it, like the majority of them don't like accountability anyway. So things can be chaotic till the cows come home, and that is nothing that they are willing to do anything about, because as the black man, I'm supposed to be accountable for the males that they choose to deal with. So, that's absurdity to them. That's absurdity. So, I mean, but don't get me wrong. My suggestion has always been for everyone to be accountable for their own actions. I mean, meaning that I will not bestow the responsibility of you being accountable for my actions. That is the variable that does not make any sense at all, and it is. Why would anyone have the pride or the lack thereof to want to pass off accountability for their own actions at least? But we see it every day, and that's the kind of people that these panderers attract. These profiteers of chaos. And I mean, it's cool. Don't knock anyone's hustle. There are people out there that have sold crack that have become um, millionaires many times over. They're out there. So pandering and simping is probably at the bottom bad things. It's still very what the 2021 crowd calls toxic. It's still that. And it would be toxic because there's a lot of lying in that shit. It makes it okay to lie. It makes it okay to be destructive. It makes it okay to not be accountable for one's own actions. And how many times I'm going to say this until it resonates? I ain't going to say it every broadcast. And I get it. I would never want to stop anyone from making their money. Believe me. I would never want to stop anyone from doing that. But understand what you're doing. I mean, this is often a complaint about the manosphere and those various content creators, that we're creating this narrative that to hate on, and it's okay for the black woman to be hurt, and that is not at all what the black manosphere is pushing. I just want people to understand what's going on within that pandering, and it's very local. Is the narrative that they're getting to the narrative before the big old boogeyman WS is getting to it. That we're the hate group. That's how the pandering can be toxic. I don't believe me. I don't feel like addressing black women every broadcast. I don't feel like doing that. I want to address the problem, the get to the bottom of it. And I wish shit like that had a bigger effort. I'll put up the effort, because I the reason why I go against pandering, because at the end of the day, it does more harm than it does good. I want our women to feel good. I do. I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to feel good about natural hair, not give a fuck about what some corporation thinks, and their policies. Build the corporation with the black man who's trying. But you know what? That's what us Gen Xers call too much like right. That's too much like right, ain't it? To actually think about even building with a black man is trying. And that's not necessarily a requirement. So don't flip out when you hear me say something like that. Oh man, this nigga talking about that black men need black women to build. I mean, they can sit back and complain like they always do. Most, not all. I don't hear Toya the Tutor complaining, of course, for clarity purposes. But shit, look, all I'm saying is at the end of the day is that, and with each one of these broadcasts that, and I'm sorry I don't have any stock tips or any advice on cryptocurrency because I'm at beginner level with that shit. I'm not saying I can't learn about that stuff, and so I can provide the information for those who are watching. But that's not my strength at this point. So, it's interesting when you have all that little pandering out there and all the enabling of destructive mentalities that, quite frankly, that the space put pushes back against. Excuse me. When you have that, especially within habitual lie stepper camp, because um, black men being brutally honest will always push against stuff that doesn't make any goddamn sense in all of that. So is Donnie. So is Roger. Because that's all Roger talk about. See, I don't like that bullshit. But, yeah, the pandering part that equates to all these guys do is talk about women. Roger's basically talking about common sense shit. That's what I hear when he's on the air. That's what I hear when a lot of these guys are on the air. I don't hear about all, you know. I mean, like let's get it straight. A lot of these guys that hit these panels, you know, and I've often said this, and this is not pandering. This is real shit. That there are a lot of weirdos that try to go under the guise of certain platforms just to get away with, whatever hatred and resentment they may be feeling for whoever. Those guys exist. So don't get me wrong. I pay attention to that kind of shit. But it's not the object. It's not the extreme object to want to bring an entire gender of women down. And then the more egregious thing is in the pandering is to say that we worship another group of women. I mean, it's the media that is the things that you pay attention to. It really is. And that goes for myself as well. It's the things you pay attention to. If you pay attention to the fact that I would say that random small percentage of pro athletes have white girlfriends or white wives. It's total ignorance to go around thinking that that's what black men believe, that white women are better. That's bullshit. I mean, and it's bullshit to the point where I didn't feel like I had to go out of my way to find a black woman. Y'all love to bring up the bad statistics about black people. All this black on black crime. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you are a black person, melanated, whatever designation you want to go by, you are local to the opposite sex, if that's your thing, of course. I try to deal in hetero business over here though, just for future reference. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. You can argue that till the fucking cows come home. Literally, I mean a cow at your fucking front door. And it still won't bend on that. But you have access to the opposite sex. So if there were a few guys that decided to stray to the wayside, that's their goddamn business. But most black people are with black people, families, and couple structures. I mean, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. What these pandering ass fools, if they cared about the black community, they should be focusing on interesting facts such as that. Mark Nash was going on. That in fact that most black people are together and within vicinity of each other. So you might as well act like you got some common goddamn sense. I just happen to have a bit of pride in my people. I don't go out here and try to stand up on a soapbox and talk like this to people. Let's be real. But 99.9% of you don't anyway. So what makes you different from me? Think about it. Can you imagine any one of these content creators standing on a soapbox in the middle of the mall trying to do what they trying to the same speech they do on YouTube? But it doesn't make sense because, and I would say my suggestion is that would be a bad idea anyway. We're not like the ice up guys, ISUPK guys. We, you know, stand at the corner of a stadium yelling at folks all day. Not like them. But I'm not saying that you don't talk like that. This might not be the best way to do it. I've always talked like this. For real. I say it anyway. I say it at jobs. I say this stuff at jobs. See, but it was me. It was my personality. When you have a genuine delivery, you have a genuine delivery, people will adapt to it. If you're being unnatural, people will find it weird and it could cause a bad reaction. My stance is my stance wherever I am. I don't have to pander to anyone. But if it's like I said, if it's making you money, cool. If it's making you money, if it's getting you big numbers, then you are obviously doing something right. But there's something very, very alarming about that. And I'm the believer that if this message touches one person, then I have done what I'm supposed to do on this platform. But let's be realistic. Numbers do say something about the mentalities. Whatever opinion is popular, you can is a direct reflection and it's something that cannot be denied. Is it something that prompts self-analysis? Then hey, it does. Just as long as it makes sense. As long as it makes common fucking sense. And that's all I've ever said. If it makes common sense to hold a black man accountable for what another black man has done, I support it. I support it. Only if that black man could have been some type of influence to that other black man that did it. But if the other black man decides not to listen, that is as far as that guy can go. And yeah, you still eliminate the bullshit. I mean, is this what it is? It's just what it is. I'm not a puppeteer. I don't have strings on on people. The only thing I can tell them is that this is a bad idea. That's the only thing I can do. Hey, God, this is a bad idea. Make sure you use a condom. But it's weird to me to dick police anyway, because, I, and maybe I'm wrong for this. I just believe that people have common sense. I think that there's an innate, no, I put that wrong. I believe that people are supposed to do the sensible thing first offhand. I'm supposed to believe that people are smart enough to do that. That's why I can't ever pander. I know some of y'all out there, if it make you money, you ain't gonna pander. No, It's going to have to work out this way. It's not going to work. That's just what it is. How many of you out there are strong enough and willing enough to say, hey, you know what? I'll stick to my fucking guns. And if it does me well, it does me well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it will work. No, 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 no. Don't be too proud to make adjustments. Because I understand if this platform is to evolve, there are going to have to be adjustments. And I mean, that's just me speaking. I don't care what the fuck anyone else thinks. That's me speaking about me. Let me take this screenshot off because this is the KF show. All right, hold on 1 second. Yeah, let me do that. Yeah, that's and let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I hate that platform talk. I don't like the police black men conversation. I don't like to sit up there and talk about what other men are talking about. Because I mean, one thing I have to keep in mind is, although I may be right if I sit there and talk about what other men talk about all the time, is that I have to keep in mind is two things: what people see versus what I believe. You know, people are very superficial. This is why you should be careful with that kind of thing. I can spew all day what I believe, but people are very visual. Black men, especially, are very visual. People don't believe that, but we are. We are very visual creatures. That's why you can't shame us enough into being attracted to a certain archetype. You know what I mean? At least me, though. But I've never heard a man say that, oh my God, I didn't like, that wasn't of his own volition, at least. Ah, man, I used to didn't like big chicks, but you know, when Lizzo, when she came out and then she made all those posts on social media, I had to look into my inner self, and I had to understand and recognize that I was wrong in believing that I should pursue something I like, because that's the only way that makes sense. That is the only way that stupid ass logic makes sense. You can't shame a you can't shame a man enough into liking something that he doesn't like. You can't shame a real man. And we always talk about this real man shit. And when you hear it from and when you hear from a female, it's always something that benefits them. But I'm telling you, a real man doesn't care. You can't. I don't care if you believe that. I mean, even my own parents. I'm not gonna say which one, but one was always trying to introduce me to big chicks. Which is cool. I always say, give a personality a chance. I'm so full of shit when I say that. But I just didn't, none of it resonated with me. None of them were like that person. Because I understood at a very early age, you couldn't shame me enough. You can shame me enough liking a certain archetype. You can shame me enough into settling for what, ultimately, and this is what I've always told myself is that I had to be the one to make that decision. Just like you had to be the one to make that decision, and that's the ultimate accountability. So if I'm with somebody, it's because I choose to be. I don't understand why people try to convince everyone else that they don't understand that logic. You choose to be with these people, so that's why I can't pander. Pander is not genuine, and it just doesn't make any sense. I can't sell my people out because if I pander and a person damages themselves because I pandered and because they decide to listen to me, I will feel some type of responsibility. Like I said, I know I just said that if you choose to listen to my advice, you're on your own. and that is in direct contradiction of that. But for real, I have a soul as well. So is what makes sense versus a reality. Let's just put it that way. I don't ever want to feel responsible to bringing somebody else to harm because of some fucked up shit that I didn't say it. Shoot. I mean, and you know, I guess some of you have to understand that as well. I mean, you're grown ups. I can't tell you what to do. Yeah, but just common sense at the end of the day. It just common sense, and that's all I wanted to basically say about this is that just constantly think about what you're doing. At the end of the day, are you doing good? If you're pandering, if you're making money, yeah, making money is great. You know, I'd rather have money than no money, and that's anyone. But it's gonna be at the cost of your soul, the soul of the people. Yeah.
What's going on, Kev? It sounded like you winding down on the show. I really just stopped by to really put my book out there. The title of the book is Yes, You, a Loser Bitch Can Find a Man Too. Now it is on sale for $49.99. It does teach you the tips, the tricks on how to find a man that is actually worthy of a loser bitch like you.
Yeah, but that's not pandering, Donnie. Remember, I said pandering was profitable. You know, maybe something that more of us should try. At least as a temporary fix. I would say that get the money and then invest, and then spread your wings and fly. But let me roguish the bill monger. Would you say that this phenomenon of black women being so easily be pandered is to a social condition characteristic, or is it actually a natural propensity to yield to appeasement? Hmm. I would say both. I would say both in I would say both in a way that um, the social condition characteristic is that you go along with anything that gives you an advantage, and no one likes to give up an advantage, and that can be said about all groups of people. So that could be uh, in accordance with how things operate. Uh, within our own nature. I mean, would you give up a situation that you had an advantage in? But the natural propensity to yield to appeasement. People like to be praised. People like to be praised, and because of the conditioning of you're the victim, that nothing, you also develop this whole nothing's ever your fault either. So,
Why
I
would
mean,
anything be your fault? You can't. You got to be the victim.
yeah, you got to be the victim, and whatever makes you not the perpetrator, people will go along with that. I mean, I would love to believe that I'm not responsible for anything that is bad that has happened in my life, but at the same time, I have to think about what my participation was in those things. If you eliminate that from people, then eh, I see nothing but chaos. But people out there may see something different. Maybe they see ratchet fuckery. I mean, and a lot of people do believe that fuckery is fun to look at, and that has to be taken into consideration when you operate and when you try to, at least from your perspective, make sense of a situation that is
Uh-huh.
quite nonsensical. So entertainment to some, chaos to others.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, that's how I would answer that question. I would answer it as both, even if it's fucked up, and keep in mind that it is fucked up. But there's not too many mature. There's not too much mature sensibility when it comes to how we project ourselves into the public eye. No one wants to. No one wants to hear that truth. I mean, the people who, and then the people don't want to hear it, or you always end up being the people who say, "Oh man, black folks, this, that, and the other." I mean, So anyway, anything else you wanted to say, Donnie, by any chance?
Nah, I think you wrapped it up beautifully. Wonderful job, per usual. Uh, Weekend Warrior. Woo!
Yeah, man. I'll definitely be here tomorrow night with another topic. I think I got a cool one, but just I could never. I just offering clarity. I could never be the panderer for profit. I would say. I think that us as a people, we deserve better than that, and it's a shame that others can't see it that way. That I'm the kind of individual that deserves for my intelligence not to be played with. And so many of our people let people play with our intelligence. So, for whoever watches this broadcast, please try to understand that, you know, I'm not trying to play with your intelligence. And I said it. So when you do realize it, you can say things like, well, Kev tried to tell us, but and and that's what's important. The telling you, giving you guys a stern warning, not stern, you know, but a fair warning that if this action, for every action, there's a reaction, and we should respond in a common sense fashion, one that does not end in destruction and chaos. So there it is. So Donnie, stick around. When I cut the broadcast. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here now. Any other words, Donnie?
Nah, like I said, great show, great broadcast. Weekend Warrior. Woo!
All right. But I think tomorrow night's broadcast, and I usually follow through when I announce it like this, spur of the moment, is that where I'll just dive into who's more responsible than cheating, and just a response to the mentality between genders, because the short the short path that people take is that if a man cheats, he's a dog, he ain't shit. If a woman cheats, it's because she's unfulfilled, and the man in the situation wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. So we'll get into that. Hopefully, that will be a interesting conversation. Yeah, and I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be. But it's coming from a perspective of a man that didn't too much dive into that world. So just understand that as I give you these perspectives. Um, this is Kev, and that thank you, Donnie, for coming up and giving your thoughts. And this is Black Men being brutally honest, as it always is. Long live the habitual line steppers. In Kev we trust. Monday night.